Good morning and welcome to Bitrix24 Live. We are Intraface Gold partners of Bitrix. I'm Andy, I'm the support manager here, and with me today is Laura, our sales engineer.
Hi guys.
So to get started, if you've got any questions, just put them in the box on YouTube or tweet us at Intraface, or you can send us an email to live@intraface.com and we can answer any questions as they come in. We have some preset questions that people have asked us in the week. So if we get started, I will start with just about email sync into Bitrix. So Bitrix does come in with a great tool to sync your emails. So in your profile at the top here, then we can click on email integration options, and then you can see here that I've synced my account with my user here. And what it allows you to do basically is, if you click on edit settings for the CRM integration, then it will let you check your incoming email, and it will also check your outgoing email. And if the from address, say for example if it was from Laura, and Laura was in our CRM, then it would make a copy of that email and put it into that contacts activity stream. And that's the same for when you're sending emails as well. So if I was to send a reply to Laura, then it would copy it back into Laura's contact in the CRM. So it basically keeps an audit trail of the communications between yourself and the actual contact in the CRM. So that's how it works. We get a couple of common questions when people initially set up the email integrations, and that's they have this box checked here. So it says create new lead when a new email address is found. So we tend to recommend, if it's going to be a user account, to deactivate this, just because not every contact is going to exist who emails you in your CRM. So you're probably going to get a lot of leads generated if you have this box checked. So I think if we just jump into the CRM, I might be able to show you what it looks like. So if we go into a contact and a contact on here, then if we scroll down on the right hand side, you can see here this is similar. This is similar to what it will look like. You'll be able to see the email. You'll be able to see the information about the email. I don't think we've actually got one that's synced in here, but it generally will get copied to the right hand side with the date and all the information in that particular email. So you can set up that. Bitrix also has a possibility to, if you click on, we're in the CRM at the moment, and we click into settings, then it also has the ability to link a company email address. So you can link one, so maybe in this case if you link to sales at, or hello at, or leads at intraface.com for example, then it will allow you to maybe create a new lead based on that email account rather than having it on your personal email integration on there. So those are the ways that email integrates. Self-host has got a little bit of difference where we can actually create mailboxes in the control panel. So we can perform a whole range of different rules on that. So if we click on mail and then mailboxes. So for those of you that are on the cloud at the moment, this will be quite new to you. The self-hosted has the control panel, and it basically gives you access to quite a considerable amount of settings, and you can see the source code in here. But it also has this option, so we can create system mailboxes in here, and we can form rules on those mailboxes, whether it's going to create a support ticket, it can trigger or create a task, things like that. Anything you can think of that you would need to email an inbox, then you can, it will email and generate that particular rule. So if you've got any further questions, just pop them in the box and we can discuss a little bit more about emails if we've got anything in particular.
I have a question. Can I manage my staff leave on Bitrix? So the answer to that is yes. Bitrix has many HR functions, and this is one of them. Within this platform, you can see here under our workflows that the member of staff is able to log on, and they're able to request their leave approval. So they would populate with the relevant dates, choose the reason why. You can see there's multiple reasons why on this demonstration, and also you could add your own. They would add the reason for their leave and then they would submit that. So when this refreshes, you can see here that this has been sent to their manager. Also, what will happen, if I just go into this person's profile, you can see here how many holiday days that they have left, and you can see how many they are entitled to. So that's one way of doing that.
Okay, yeah, and with the process just behind that, so if we click on the workflows, clicking the workflows activity stream, as Laura mentioned, you can edit your options if you wanted to. So I'm in workflows and activity stream here. I've come into the leave approval, and if you did want to add your own options, click on actions, customize list, and then you can see here we have the absence type, so if you wanted to change that. And this is one of the standard workflows that comes with Bitrix. So if we click into workflows and activity stream again and click in workflows directory, you'll see that the leave approval is one of the standard workflows that Bitrix comes with, and it comes with these other four as well. So they are really useful, especially because they are pre-built and you can go into them and configure them how you want. Obviously they may not be to your requirements to start off with, but it does give you a starting block on there. So if we just go, they've got a question come through on YouTube. So I've got created an email campaign and inserted HTML code which has images embedded in it. However, when I ran the campaign, images were not displayed to the person who received an email. So I assume if we just jump into the cloud version here, and if we go to the CRM marketing, so I assume you're using, if we just click on here and select an example. So I assume that you are including this block here for the code. So I mean, it all depends on how you've coded it, really, to be honest. I mean, if we wanted to display an image, so let's see on our interface site, and let's get an image from our site. I'm not sure if we have any. So if we just click this one for an example, and let's get this web address. So, and if you just write the HTML code for this, so we can put image source equals, sorry, different keyboard here. And then, so, I mean, it's really difficult to find out why they're not displaying, but sure, if I've just put this code in here, and you can now see that this is being pulled from this particular URL, then this image should display on the email that's being received by the user. There's no reason why it shouldn't, unless the image is gone, or you've got the wrong code, or yeah, I mean, it could be a number of different reasons. So maybe get in touch with us after, maybe show us the code that you inserted, we can take a look. I'm not saying that you coded it wrong at all, but we've used this for HTML blocks and put our own images in here, and we've never had really a problem, to be honest. So probably get in touch with us after and we can look into a little bit more detail on that.
So I've got a question: is Bitrix good for posting news out to my staff? So yes, it is. It's a really good platform for that. So you will have your activity stream. So when your member of staff logs in, they will see their activity stream. If you post something, then it will appear in here. They'll also get a notification up here. So that's a really good way of targeting everybody within your business. If you wanted to send it out to everybody, so you'd have all employees, but you wanted to tag a particular employee, so you wanted to add a mention, then you can type, you can type your message, and then you can tag somebody. Send that, so all the employees will get a notification and Mark Black has got a special mention. You can go as far as putting videos on there also, and then you've got little functions like and things like that. You're also able to comment, and you can embed videos and record videos live if you do have a camera on your laptop. So that is one way of letting people know company news.
Yeah, and just to follow on from that, we have, if you do use self-hosted, we created a little bit of a customization on Bitrix. So if you click on the news here, so you can see this uses the standard news block as well. So it's a good way. It's definitely a good way to post on the activity stream. If you did want your own news section, then this is probably the place where you would do it. So you can see here that we have images, and so if you wanted to add a new, say for example, let's click into the Christmas party here, and then you can see here that we can add, so we click into add news, and then we can give it a title. As Laura said, you can embed videos in, you can put your own code in using HTML text, and then you can put your own picture in, and you can see that it's displayed in quite a nice format. So again, we can see the latest news, everything is here, and then it's quite interactive on how you can do it. So if you do have a self-hosted, it may be something, again, it's one of our modules that we've created, so just get in touch with us and we can send you that along to add to your system. Okay. So we get this question regularly just about SMS. So Bitrix does send SMS messages out via its system, so you can send for example, a contact, and go into a contact here, SMS. So we don't have anything connected up here, but if you click on SMS, you can write a text message, and if this user's got a mobile number associated to them, then you can send them an SMS message. And you can see here that you can use Twilio is an option. We use, well, I've used in terms of setting up clients, Plevo SMS. If you go to the left hand side, and in your left hand menu you will have an applications tab here, and then again, so this is not just for SMS, this is for anything. So any integration available on the cloud, available on the self-hosted. It may be something that you're looking to integrate with. I know we're talking about SMS here, but you can see here that we've got everything from MailChimp through to Xero for your accounts or QuickBooks. I would recommend, before you consider maybe getting a partner to do an integration, just have a look here first and see if something exists. If you just type in SMS, then this is the one that we've used before, Plevo. So you can send SMS to all countries. You can have a sender ID, so instead of showing a mobile number, we can put interface, so when it pops up on somebody's phone, it'll say interface and then a message underneath. And the good thing about that is, and you will need to do it, if you just jump to the cloud version again, is that you can send SMS campaigns out as well. So they are really useful, and you can then get all the details from that particular SMS campaign within Bitrix.
Cool, so I've got a question here. Can I see my manager's calendar easily? This has two elements to it. Yes, you can see it easily, however you have to have the right permissions to be able to see a certain person's calendar. So if you do have the permission to see your manager's calendar, then yes, you would access it in this tab. And here you can see all the calendars. So you can tick and untick these, depending on what you do and don't want to see. And you can see how that changes, as I'm unticking, events are coming in and out. Another thing about the calendars is you can add calendars, so you could make a specific calendar. That could be project specific, or it could just be, to control certain events. So you can see your manager's calendar.
Okay, so I've got another question just with regards to the contact forms within Bitrix. So if we just go into the CRM side again, so there's a couple of different areas where you can add forms to your site. So these are really useful in terms of easily adding a form to your website that you may want to create a lead, or you may want to create a contact or a deal. It will populate the fields that you use within the form in your CRM, and it can trigger automation, because I think that the question here just basically says how can we automatically send an SMS message out or an email. So what we would do, go into CRM forms in your CRM, click on add new form. So we can see here maybe let's click on add new form and create a new one. So we can give it a title, so we can say new inquiry, give it a description if we wanted to. So give it and what we're going to do with this one, we want to create a new lead. So at the moment you can see it's going to create a new lead. If you wanted to change that, I'll just show you how in a moment. But on the right hand side, if you click on lead, these are all the fields that are available in your leads in the CRM. So if a field doesn't exist here that you want, you would have to create a custom field in your CRM settings section, and then it would appear in here as long as you've created it for your lead. So click on name, click on last name, and then let's maybe we're going to want, let's see what we've got in here. Maybe we're going to want an email address and a phone number. So you can, like I say, you can pull in whatever you want on here. You can change the button. So let's just say submit inquiry, and click on close. And then if you wanted to, you can style it. So you can bring in a separator if you wanted to. So if you wanted to move up, and then yeah, so you can really add whatever you want on here. And if we scroll down, you can see here that we have a lead here, and just one thing on here. Let me just see if I can. I'm not sure if it's on our system just yet, but there is an option now in your, I don't know if Laura might know, there's an option to have a hidden field on your forms. So what you could do is you could maybe have, we've created, so let's create a source, and you can see here that the source is that we've got all these. So we may want that if we have a website to be equal source, and I'm sure that there is an option, I'm not 100% sure where it is on here, but there's an option to hide that. So it wouldn't actually show in the form itself, but we could have that hidden, so just so we knew what the source was. And that's quite good for the other fields that you may want to hide on the system. I think that's relatively new because it did come in quite recently. Trying to see if I can see it on here. No, can't see it on here. But I know it does exist, so I think we might need to update this site. And
I think it does appear on that site normally, so I think it could be a case of just updating this. I think this is also good, you know, if you're generating a lot of leads and you're creating reports off that, because it will demonstrate, you know, in the system where the leads are coming from. But obviously you aren't showing that to the people who are filling in the leads. So it's good, you know, for running reports, and you can see, you know, which are the best used resources.
Yeah, that's it. I think, and you can get a little bit more powerful. So you can say if the source equaled, let's just say website, then we can show email. So we could hide email to start off with, and if somebody selected source website in the drop down, then we could show another field. So you can really build upon these forms. You can see here that we've got create a new lead. If we wanted it to merge, so we could have merging on based on your email and your phone to make sure if somebody put the same in, you could update fields within the particular lead, or client, or deal or quote on there. So, or you could allow duplicates. It's completely up to you. You can style it however you wish. If you know a bit of CSS, you can style it a little bit more. So it won't look like the form is alien on your website. Instead, it'll blend in and fit in really well, so nobody will know it's Bitrix. If you've got a paid account, then you can remove the signature. So again, this is all available on the cloud as well as the self-hosted. I don't believe you can remove the signature if you're on a free account.
That's right, you can't remove that on a free account.
So yeah, you would need to just subscribe to the standard one, which is the first account, and then yeah, you could be able to remove that on there. And then, like I say, you can add a capture and redirect once it's done. So if we click on apply, just give it a name, click apply. Then if we go back to the CRM forms, the first thing that you will need to do is you need to enable it. So it's not enabled straight away. Click on enable, and then what we can do is we can get an embed code. So it's as easy as that. Bitrix creates this for you. If we click on, you can highlight, and you can copy that to WordPress or any other site that you may have. We do have, and it's come up a couple of times this week, that there is an issue on some servers with the X-frame attribute hiding, not being able to display the form, and that is usually resolved by a slight server configuration. We have had that a couple of times. It's just basically blocking the iframe. So if it's not showing on your site, it probably just Google the X-frame, the error that you're getting in the console, and you'll be able to find the answer for that. So you can have it display as a form, have it display as a button, so you can see on the right hand side here it'll be a button and then it would pop up. You can have it display as a text link, so click on the text link again, it would pop up. And finally, time delayed, so we can specify here in 5 seconds this form will pop up. So usually that is a case of when you arrive on a website, you usually see like sign up for 10% off or so on. So you could actually create a form on your website for that would feed the information back into Bitrix. And what you were saying here, just with regards to can it trigger a email or SMS when it comes in. So certainly you would just go to your leads and you would just make sure, if you just click into a lead here, click on automation, then click on the configure automation rules, that you could say, so say if we had that hidden field, which I know you can do, we click on add, and then let's just say we want to send an SMS. So we can have a condition here that said if the source will be somewhere in here somewhere.
I think it was up there.
Oh, there. So if source equals, and then we've got all the list on here, so we had it set to website, then we could say, and then as long as we've got a, so we've got Twilio here, as long as that's configured, then click on save. So that what will happen in they'll submit the form in 3 days. I mean, you can change this as well. You can put it to a day if you wanted to. Then, if the source equals website, send a SMS saying thanks on there. Okay.
Yep. So another question, just along the lines of the differences between paid accounts and the on-premise and cloud version. Somebody has asked, can I host the website on their own domain name? Yes, you can, but you would need either a minimum of the professional version on the cloud, and then on all self-hosted licenses you can completely personalize it to your company. So this would mean to say that the URL here would have your company name in it, or whatever you wanted, and it wouldn't make reference to Bitrix. When you logged in, you would get your company logo here, and it would be skinned up with your corporate colours or whichever. And I think that's also really important, if you're having extranet users log in, when they go to the login page, it won't look any different as though it was your website that they were logging into. So they will see a completely, branded version of your website. So yes.
Okay. So we've got a question just about integrating Bitrix with your current system. We slightly touched upon it earlier. So I would always recommend, first of all, like I mentioned, to go to the applications and see what exists in there. So if you want to, we have everything from tools to migrate from Zoho to Bitrix, and we also have tools that, like I say, connect to your financial package or email marketing, things like that, which are all free. Things like SMS is obviously going to be a paid service for every SMS you send out. And you also have, so on the cloud you've got this as well, so click into applications. And you also have the ability to have webhooks. So if you know some code here, you can have inbound and outbound webhooks. So you can, we're probably going to do a tutorial on these and how these works quite soon. But with the cloud, you've got a slightly limited REST API for the cloud version. For the self-hosted, you have quite you have an open API, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. So in terms of if you wanted to integrate with another package, it all depends on the ability and what the other package has in terms of an API. If you're creating your own, that's great. You can work with a partner, and they will tell exactly how they plan on integrating. So yeah, it's just going to be a case of if you're on the self-hosted, usually if the package that you're working with has an API, it'll work. If you're on the cloud, you just probably need to just have a look at the application store and then see if it's not in the application store, see if you can do it via a webhook.
Okay, I've got another question. Somebody's concerned about getting their contacts into the CRM from an Excel spreadsheet. That's not difficult at all. Really easy process. So when you go into your CRM and you go into your contacts, then here you're able to import from various different places. So you've got your Outlook, Yahoo, and then in terms of the Excel spreadsheet, with as long as the correct fields are in that spreadsheet, we are able to import that directly. So that will be a CSV file, and then all your contacts will appear in here. Straight away, you will have the company phone number, email address, and the name of the contact. From there, obviously, you'd then be able to start the two-way sync of the emails, which we discussed earlier. So that's not an issue. That wouldn't be a big job. It would be quite a smooth turnover.
Okay, we have a few questions just with regards to training on Bitrix. So Bitrix has if I just show you on here, we'll go to. So Bitrix does have, if you spell it right. So Bitrix has their support engine here. So there's quite a lot of tools between everything on here. So you see every module that's within Bitrix, whether it's on the cloud or the self-hosted. They also have quite a lot of videos on YouTube. So do we. So Bitrix have their own channel. We have our own channel. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube now, you're on our channel. And then they have some documents with regards to training on the self-hosted as well. So obviously, it all depends on how you want to be trained. This is the first. We would always recommend if something's quite simple, just come here. And if you're on the cloud version as well, Bitrix do offer a ticketing, so they'll get back to you within 24 hours. But if you're wanting training one-on-one, a partner can offer that. So, for example, we offer training on an hourly rate. If you want to be trained on something specific, something that's custom towards your business, rather than just a general overview of, like, for example, a CRM automation. If you want training on how to do something specific for your business within Bitrix, then probably just recommend getting in touch. People do get in touch with us every day just with regards to training, and we offer just classes, whether it's on site at your offices or whether we do it via a WebEx online where we can share the screen and we can show you how everything's done on there. So we usually just get in touch with us and we can just scope how much training we think you will need for a particular area that you want to focus on, and then we can quote you and book in that, whether, like I say, whether it's on site or whether it's online. We can go all over the world for training.
Okay, so I've got a question here. We don't want our sales staff to see each other's sales figures and quotes. Can I stop them seeing each other? So yes, you can. So that's controlled by the permissions. And I might need Andy to take us to there.
So if we go to the settings, so we're in the CRM, sorry, on the left hand side, and we go to more and settings, and then if we go to permissions and click on access permissions, so it is quite a powerful tool on how permissions are controlled within the CRM. So what we would generally do here is create a new role for your company. So we generally say that if it's going to be particular departments that need to see anything, or I would usually say minimum you should have is 2 groups here. So on the left hand side, we would generally, and I would always say, have an administrators group. So then you can set everything pretty much open for this particular group of users. So these are going to be the super users of the system. And then in general have maybe all your users. So we click on user groups and click on employees, or we could have specific departments here, and then we would have them set to one other particular role. So as Laura said, if you wanted to restrict, was it quotes and
who can see each other's sales figures?
So quotes and sales figures. So your sales information is going to be in deals. So you can see here that if we had let's just say restrict. So let's have a role that just says restrict quotes and sales. And what you can do here, so we've got this column. So read is basically the ability to view. Add is obviously the ability to add new contacts, companies, deals. Update is going to be edit. Delete is obviously deleting. Exporting is exporting out of the system, and importing is importing the system. So these are pretty straightforward. And this is what each column refers to. And you can see on the grid on the left hand side of the entity, so we've got contacts, companies. So it may be that you allow everybody to see everybody. So if you click on all companies, all contacts. But it may be if you wanted to, as Laura asked for, so you can only see your own deals maybe. So you can set it to personal. And each deal has somebody responsible for it. So that person will, if I'm responsible for a particular deal and it's set to personal, then I will only be able to see that deal. And that's the same if Laura had a deal responsible for herself, then she would only be able to see her own deal. And that's what personal means. It's only only the deals that you're responsible for. And you can expand on that. You can say everybody in your department. So it may be we have companies that have a UK sales department and a US sales department. So what that would mean is that anybody in the US sales department would only be able to see their own, and everybody else is in their departments, and then everybody in the UK would only be able to see their own in the UK. So it's quite good how you can segment the in this case the deals up to be based on particular departments. So we can click on there, and then we can say all departments and sub-departments. So you can see how you can build that up. In this case, what we would say is we would only have the deals, and you can see all the different deal pipelines, and then you could also see your own quotes. And you would set this to all. We'd always recommend just while we're in here, set, if you're going to have a general user group to access the CRM, set export and import into denied, just because we've seen people leave the companies and click on export and have exported the whole CRM out into a CSV, so you don't want that. So, and we would always say set that to denied. So that's why we would say minimum you should have an administrators who will be able to do that, and normal users who wouldn't be able to do that. And that's how we would minimum. And this is really based, so we click on here and I'll just show you the personal department and sub-departments. This is running from click into the employee section on the left hand side. This is basically running from this. So you can see that if we were to set it to department, so only John Smith here would have their, and we've got Mark Hope, I do believe. So these two would be only able to see each other's if it was set to department, However, if their role was set to department and sub-department, then they would also be able to see John Quinn's, Lucy Loxley's, because they're in the departments below IT here. So we'd always recommend, if you just started using Bitrix, set up your company structure of how you want it. You can always change it. We get a common question saying, can users be in more than one department? They can, but if you've got those CRM permissions in place, just be wary that if you got it to the department, they'll be able to see everybody in that department and everybody in that department as well. So they'll be able to see multiple. So recommend coming in here first of all and building up your company structure.
Okay, so just a quick question about the options on this side, and is the activity stream, does that have to be the first page that you land on when you log in? I don't believe it does. If you configure the menu items here, then you are able to drag and drop these to hide them. So again, can be ruled by permissions, so the administrator can set, the options that the employee has, and they won't be able to drag and drop or move those. So yes, if you wanted your login page to go directly to say the CRM, then you could do that. As I said, this is just a drag and drop, so really easy to do. So if this looks a bit too busy for you, you can strip that right the way down to the things which are entirely relevant to you.
Yeah, and I think, like Laura said, I think it is, obviously there are quite a lot of modules in Bitrix, and when you start, your menu can be quite busy. I mean, like as Laura said, you can hide them. On the self-hosted, we've done a little bit more. Again, in the self-hosted, you've got a little bit more flexibility in what you can do. We can actually set permissions on each of the individual links here. We can completely remove them, or if we wanted to, for example, we have a company that the administrators can hide these sections on here, and then when you hide them, obviously it goes into the hidden section here, and we have a privilege that non-administrators can't see the hidden menu items, because in general they can see them on there. So again, just a note just about the flexibility of the self-hosted version. So just got what is the average, so just going back to when we were on the help desk, just with regards to Bitrix, what is the average response time to a ticket? So Bitrix, tend to respond 24 to 48 hours in terms of your tickets. And if you were to take support through us, our tickets we have an SLA of 24 hours maximum, and we tend to get them in 2 to 4 hours in general if we can answer them pretty quickly. If they need escalating, it tends to be a little bit more time.
Okay, so I've got a question here. Is there a limit to the amount of custom fields that I can create? Nope, I don't think there is. If we go into the CRM, I think Andy was in here earlier, and we go into our settings, and we go into our form report settings, and we go into our custom fields. Then you can see here we've got all the different modules which are in the CRM. So I can click in here to look at the current fields. The majority of these are fields which we've created. And if I go back, then you can see here that you can add a field. So basically you would put the name of your field in here. You can decide things if it's a required field, if you need multiple options on that, and then what type of information you want to go into this. So you've got various things, Google Maps, if you want to bind it specifically to a user, all these types of things. So they would then create drop downs and different fields within your contacts. So if you wanted to create a new field within a contact, this is where you would go to create that new field. So yeah, there's not a limit to how many you can do. So you can also do the same on companies. So if you wanted to, like on here, you can create an address. So on this one, this pops up, so you can see where they are. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. That follows on to another question. Just as you can see here, as Laura demonstrated, you can add your custom fields in, and whilst we're in the CRM, we can just show you how easy it is to configure these. So if we wanted to let's just remove some sections here that we've added into our demo site, so we can clean it up a little bit. So you can see how easy it is to, once you've done something, you can create them. So let's create Bitrix24 live section. So we created a new section, and when Laura wasn't created those fields in the CRM settings for custom fields, you can have access to those simply by clicking on select field, and you'll be able to see, in this case, I think we saw there were some custom fields, vape flavors for one, for example. If you were to bring that in, that's a custom field, and then you can have it there. So what that will allow you is to save that into Bitrix Live. So we didn't put a value in there, but we would always recommend setting up your contacts, your companies, your leads, your deals, and the views that you want. And as an administrator, you can do that yourself. So it's good to start off with the foundation of how everything looks, because that's what your users are going to prefer and find Bitrix easier to use. And like I say, as an administrator, you can set that up. If you click on the cog icon in the top right hand corner, we can then save preferences for all users. So then that will push the design that you've just created. So we've got about company, more, new section, Bitrix24 live section. And then we can just save that for every other user. So next time that they come to this particular company, not this particular company, actually any company, it will look exactly the same in every one of them. Obviously, fields don't show anymore in Bitrix if there isn't a value, because how it used to look is it would show you the empty field. But obviously users don't need to see empty fields, and it just takes up a lot of space. So if the field's got a value, it will show in the relevant section. So it's really good and really handy to, like I say, set that up whilst you're configuring your system.
This also has a really powerful filtering system. So in here we can see, you can type in your company or the type of company, the phone number, the industry, the company name. Again, you can add fields here, so you can see you can add all of these, or as little or as many as you want, to make your filter a little bit more powerful. You can look here as well, you can filter by prospects, new companies, and then when you've done, you save that. So additionally, this is another way that you can add settings, and this would, if I, for example, click on this, would appear along the top bar. So it would appear here, and what we're able to do is we're able to drag and drop these like that. So you can really customize this entire page for whatever is most relevant to your business, and which gives you the best view and almost like a snapshot of what's going on within your companies.
Yeah, and I don't know if Laura mentioned, if when you click on that and you can click on apply for all users. So as an administrator, pretty much like we did on the layouts for the company, you can set the layouts of these particular grids and apply them to all users as well. So it is really, as an administrator, you can really make sure that you set up the views and how everything looks in the CRM for your sales team to be using it, or your marketing team to be using it. So yeah, it's quite useful for that. So whilst we're in the CRM, we just had a question in the week just with regarding to if you're using the Bitrix telephony and a number comes into Bitrix, does the information pop up? And it does. So I don't have the number for this particular system in a minute on me, but if we were to call this, we would have a pop-up. It would tell us who the person is if they existed in our CRM. It would tell us who's responsible for that person, and then we'd have any notes on that particular company or contact that rang in. So that's obviously linked to the Bitrix telephony, and so it would display all the information that you would need on a calling card in the system.
Okay, I've got a question regarding our task function, and if you can decide whether or not the time on a task is billable or non-billable. So I'm guessing that is in regards to our time tracking function that we have here. So that would mean to say that I can estimate how long a task is going to take. So if I just populate this briefly. Okay, so I can decide who's responsible for it. You know, there's various different things that you can do in here. You can have people observing it and participants. So if I then set my deadline, selected that here, I did my task, that will refresh and appear like this. So I think the thing that this person was getting at is, you know, when I start my time tracker, is there any way that I can say, okay, this time's billable or not billable? I think that would take possibly some custom work to create a drop down to select whether or not it's billable.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do it via the time tracker, it probably would. Let me just start the time tracker. I'm just going to see if it, in fact, I think you could do it a different way. So if we click on, you've now let it count. Let's just refresh this now. And what we could do, click into here. You can see in the time elapsed tab here that we have, it's 9 seconds. I would probably recommend if you did it that way, you could say that this is billable.
And you can also edit that as well. So if you've forgotten to stop the time tracker or whatever, you can change that. Or alternatively, if you haven't started the time tracker, then you can go in and add time.
Yeah, because some people tend. I mean, there is obviously there's a slight restriction with the time tracker just in general because so it should be, because if you start a time tracker in one task, you can obviously not start a time tracker in another task, because theoretically you should only be working on one task. It's quite difficult to work on two tasks together. Within Bitrix anyway. And so what people tend to do is either go either or. So you can have, as Laura's created this task with a time tracker, every time you start it, it's going to timestamp the actual time it comes in, and then you can make a comment like, say, to be billable or not. The other alternative is don't have a time tracker in it, so we can not have this enabled, and just manually enter in your time. So we could say, this is today we've done 5 hours, and it's, I don't know, tested online or something like that, and then we can obviously put in a time, and then click on that, and then you can see here that you can see it's already, I've added 5 hours, and you can see it's now calculated 5 hours and 9 seconds. So it's good to do that. And I was with a client yesterday, and based on that information, you can actually then, we were creating reports on being able to, like for example, the involvement in projects. It's not on that one. So let's have a look. Time spent on projects. So you can see here how, I think this is a standard report that Bitrix comes with, but you can see and build up your own report and see how much, for example, I could check to see if how much time Laura spent on a particular project, if we've gone over time, if we've gone over the timescale that we predicted on a project, we can see then and then correct those in future projects, obviously. But you can build reports, and it's really good to actually see the amount of time spent on tasks. So if I say this task should take 10 hours, but we've actually spent 20, we can actually find out and find a trail of why it's actually taking us double and where we've gone wrong. And obviously that leads to an improvement in your task efficiency moving on forward for different projects.
You're also able to pull data out of here, from here, so you can export that to an Excel spreadsheet if you wanted. So then you've kind of got a copy of that which is printable, which I suppose is easier to handle than taking something directly off the screen.
So just moving back into the realms of the CRM again, and when we touched upon the CRM forms last time, then we also have the ability to populate leads by open channels. So we had a message just about open channels and what they were referring to and what were the possibilities with them. So Bitrix does come with the open channels module. I think we've got a menu item in here. We've got open channels. And what this allows us to do, it allows us to connect elements such as Facebook, Instagram, Skype, there's quite a few others in here. We've got Slack, And for example, the Facebook one will allow you to authorize your business page. So I think we won't be able to demonstrate it on here, but you can see here that we've got a page connected, our interface page, and when somebody sends us a message, it will come through our open channels widget here on the top right hand corner. We click on it and it will basically look exactly like this. So they will send a message, say for example they say hello, and you can then respond to that person on Facebook with a reply. And it's instant, so as soon as you reply, the person on Facebook will get that message back, and you never need to leave Bitrix. You don't have to have your staff sat on Facebook at any time, which is obviously not productive. So they can sit in here, and every time a message pops up, they can do that. Obviously, it depends how active you are on Facebook. It's not for everybody, but in this case, if a contact doesn't exist, you can create a lead from that contact. So if I message interface Facebook, then I could then select Andy Naylor. We put him into our leads in the CRM. So that's an option. And Instagram works on comments. So if somebody comments on a picture that you've put up on Instagram, then again it will come through your chat, and you can then respond to that, and it would basically allow you to reply to comments within Instagram, which is again, if you're very active on Instagram, it keeps you within the one console rather than having to go to Facebook, having to go to Instagram, having everything open and responding to everything in different areas. This allows you to bring everything in, and they are going to be constantly evolving this. So we're hopefully going to go again things like LinkedIn and other systems. So everything that you market through and communicate with is going to be in your hub within Bitrix itself. And just while we're in here as well, we do have the live chat, and this is another great free feature. You can have, if we go to our site here, you'll be able to see, we can ask a question, and what that will do, pretty much exactly like what we just said about the Facebook, it will come through your open channels, and then you can talk with somebody on your website. And I would fully recommend sticking live chat onto your site. It's pretty easy to configure. Again, you get an embed code and you put it in the footer of your site, and then you can style it through Bitrix. And what it allows you to do is it increases a lot of inquiries, because people tend to be, as cynical it is, people don't want to speak to people on the telephone. Well, quite a lot of people don't. We've seen our inquiries boosted quite considerably just with people coming to the website and just clicking on the chat icon. And like I say, your support representatives or whoever's dealing with your chat messages don't have to leave Bitrix. They're inside, and then you can just communicate with the person that's on the web chat. And then you can then create leads from that and follow up, and all the history of that communication of that with the individual that's on your website is stored against the leads. So if I was having a conversation with the customer, then Laura could go to my lead and say and review it, and then book another call in, or book a demonstration in, or something like that. So it is a powerful tool, and one certainly that we would recommend people to add to their site.
So I've got a question here. Can my extranet users use the phone app? Yes, they can. And yes, they will log in the same way they do online. So your extranet user will be given a login and password, and they will go to the URL that you give them. They will log in with that username and password, and they will do the exact same on the mobile app. As Andy showed you, we've got this chat function, and I think that's really good on the mobile app, because it's really easy to just type back to somebody. This would work with colleagues as well who also have the app, and it's a little less formal than email. So rather than opening it up, you've kind of got everything on the one platform, so it's a little bit more user friendly, I think. So yes, you can.
Yeah, as Laura just said, I think that's one of the really great features with inviting your extranet users in, is that you can actually chat with them within the interface of Bitrix, whether it's both of you on your mobile apps, your extranet user and your internal user. And I always have to just say with regards to extranet users, Bitrix is so secure, your extranet users will never be able to get into your intranet. There's a lot of permissions set within Bitrix that will not, for example, we have people worried about their clients, because that tend to be what people use the extranet users for. Clients accessing different areas of the CRM. The extranet user will never see your CRM. That's how the licensing works on Bitrix, and that's how the permission structure works within Bitrix. So it's just going to be a case of you can invite hundreds of thousands of extranet users if you wanted to. There's no limit, and there's no extra cost on your license. Extranet users are free, so if you've got a lot of clients that you want to invite in, they just have to be invited to an extranet work group, really. So it's definitely a great way of communicating with your clients. I think we're coming to a close now. Just if you've got any last questions, just put them in the box. We can answer. But in general, we have this Bitrix Live every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. If you've got questions, obviously before next Thursday, just send them to live@intraface.com or give us a tweet at intraface. And we'll be able to either answer them. We'll probably just tend to answer them straight away for you. However, we'll put them on the next session on there, so then you know that we're answering. So your question may help somebody else. If you are looking for a personalised demonstration of Bitrix, whether you're going to be using the cloud or you're interested in the self-hosted version, then we can book one of those in and show you exactly what you need to. Obviously we can show you on the Bitrix Live, but I think it's sometimes better to get one individual or a few members of your team to sit with one of our sales guys, so Laura will be able to demonstrate anything that you want showing that's relative to your business. And we're in the US, the UK and Dubai. Our contact details are on the screen. And so thank you very much for your time. I don't think we've got any more questions that have come in, so hopefully see you next Thursday. This has been recorded, so we can put this on YouTube if you've missed any of the questions. But see you next Thursday.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.